Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and, well, to close off Musical Movie Week. Well, the last musical film that I'm reviewing, boy, because I didn't know what to expect with this one, but now I do. Oh my gosh, like, hard to believe that I chose this to be the fourth and final musical film for me to review for Musical Movie Week. That's right, guys. The Academy Award-winning musical film, which won for Best Picture. That's right. To close off Musical Movie Week, I bring to you my review from 2002, Chicago. Yes, Chicago. Holy cow. What a heck of a musical film this is. Again, I didn't know what to expect with this at first. I've seen little itty bits of clips from this film, and just a little bit of a portion of one of the song numbers, and which was included in a Nostalgia Critic video, in one of his old top 11 lists, the top 11 best villain songs, and it was at number 4. Yeah, number 4. And when I finally, at long last, got to watch this movie, and because, me reviewing this and for it being a part of Musical Movie Week, yeah, just not what I was expecting at all. And I'm sure the same goes for everybody else who saw this for the first time. This one piece of a musical film, it is, like, just mind-blowing. It totally is. Just, from the storytelling and with the songs, and just, it doesn't take that long for there to be every single song number in what situation happens in this musical film. And this is Chicago we're talking about. We all know what Chicago is like. And this musical movie, I should say, speaks Chicago for itself. The movie speaks for itself on Chicago. You get my point. So, yeah, it's crazy. And with, the Oscars that it won, because I know that for Best Supporting Actress, Catherine Zeta-Jones won, and, Chicago won for Best Picture, and strangely, rightfully so, how I'm putting at it. All right, but enough said. As always, read the description / the story. Nightclub sensation Velma murders her philandering husband, and Chicago's slickest lawyer, Billy Flynn, is set to defend her, but when Roxy also winds up in prison, Billy takes on her case as well, turning her into a media circus of headlines. Neither woman will be outdone in their fight against each other and the public for fame and celebrity. Okay, so Chicago itself. So this being a Miramax film, and also can't forget to mention, obviously you guys know this, the Weinstein brothers producing this, but, so one of our first main characters that we see, and she's late, and she's supposed to be, performing alongside with her sister, the Kelly sisters, but it's just her. Where's her other sister? And that being Velma Kelly, being played by Catherine Zeta-Jones. And like I said, because she won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, for her role as Velma Kelly in Chicago. So her arriving and her performing and such, and and I'm of course going to mention the songs, but I'll talk about them more towards the end of the review when I'm done with the movie. So as I've done, so her performing, and one person, one audience member watching Velma perform, and I think she's starstruck or something, and because we see that she's picturing herself on stage, imagine if that was her, basically, that being Roxy Hart, being played by Renee Zellweger. Yeah, had to kind of slow down to say her full name. Yeah, try and say her name 10 times fast. Renee Zellweger. See, even I can't do it. So, and she's about to leave with someone that's gonna, walk her back to her apartment, that being Fred Castley, if I'm saying that right, yeah, the last name, and Fred being played by the one and only Dominic West. Yep. So him walking her home, and as they proceed and when they enter into the apartment building, well, they get straight to, hooking up, and well, as they get to her apartment building, like, that's when they'll have sex, basically. And with that, because while Velma is still performing, that happening at the same time. But we also see that the police are there, and what's about to happen, and well, because they have their eyes on Velma, and well, she's being arrested for something, and this have to do anything with, well, where's Velma's other sister? And after the business that Roxy and Fred had, well, because Roxy was asking Fred, and because apparently Fred was supposed to help Roxy get up to big time and do just like, say, what Velma was doing. But basically Fred, he's in a bit of a hurry to leave, and well, he lied. He lied basically to Roxy, because supposedly someone he talked to didn't really happen. And it turns out, and we find out, and according to Fred, because, Roxy already has a husband, and Roxy was freaking cheating on her husband. Ugh. And Roxy, of course, getting upset by this, even when Fred at one point just shoved her, and she, her back hit a wall, and, basically she whips out a gun and freaking shoots him, and yeah, Fred is murdered. And then, well, because after that happened, well, it doesn't take too long for the police to show up, and we also see Roxy's husband, Amos. I think, yeah, that's how his name is said. Not to mention, because a couple of other characters, including one of the other main characters, mostly, yeah, him, says his name wrong. So, but I'm pretty sure I am saying it right. Amos, yeah. Amos Hart, being played by good old John C. Reilly. Yeah, I at times forgotten that he was in Chicago. So basically, yeah, the police are questioning them about, the crime scene and such, and with another song number, and it didn't take me too long to realize, and I'm sure that goes for everybody else, to realize that most of the song numbers in Chicago, well, they're basically in Roxy's head/mind. She's like picturing like singing and dancing with whatever situation is happening. That's pretty creative, I think. Yeah. Now that I say it, because yeah. And basically, because, she's singing about and complimenting on Amos, and it doesn't take Amos that long. I mean, he thinks, well, it's suspected, although it's not, that, well, Fred tried to, break in and just rob her and such, and we find out, and according to Amos, that Fred basically was a businessman in the furniture business, and and helped them with their furniture. And it doesn't take Amos that long to connect the dots and to realize that, well, Roxy and Fred had something, and, well, because Roxy murdering Fred and so on, and Amos being upset by this, and to speed things up, because, yeah, it doesn't take that long for Roxy to end up in jail. Yeah, because should have seen it coming, because, and of course doesn't take too long to realize that, well, she did murder Fred, and, she's accused of murdering and such, as it's established later on in the film, and thus, again, she's taken to jail, and, poor Amos, like, for his wife to act like that and what all she did, poor guy. And Amos, he seems like an innocent guy, right? I'm just saying. So at the jail, I know there's a specific name for that jail, but if I remember, I'll put a text. So yeah. So she ends up in jail, and we also happen to see Velma being in jail too, and we find out a little bit later why she's in jail, and supposedly having to do something with the disappearance, and why Velma's sister was not there with her performing. And we see that one of the main workers, and I guess one of the heads of the jail, is Matron Mama Morton. I think, yeah, I got the first name/word right. Matron, I'm pretty sure, yeah. And basically just, she prefers for them to call her Mama. And yeah, Mama being played by Queen Latifah. And I too, not really, just maybe one or two times I almost forgot that she was in this. Well, not to mention, because she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Chicago, which of course, Catherine, she won for that. So yeah, Queen Latifah in this, and we get another song number, and which basically describing, I assume, about, Queen Latifah's character. Yeah, sometimes, I'm sure for some people, just seeing just any song number that just comes out of nowhere, okay? But, they work, and the movie manages for them to work and such in this movie. So yeah, and to speed things up, because yeah, Roxy settling in the jail, and that's when, just a little bit later, we then, of course, get another song number. And this song number, this is the only song number where I heard bits and pieces of it, where, like I said, this song number being number 4 in the Nostalgia Critics Top 11 Villain Songs. They had it coming, and that song, from Velma and a bunch of other 4 ladies. I think because June, Annie, Liz, I'm pretty sure, yeah, because, yeah, all 6 ladies talking about how they ended up in jail and such. It's pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting and creative song, and I guess technically, and well, if this song being featured in the Nostalgia Critics Top 11 Villain Songs, then, well, technically it would be considered a villain song. So, yeah. So each of the ladies, what happened and, why they killed some of their past ex-lovers now. And, well, and when it comes to Velma, because, well, she, in fact, murdered her sister, but also killed this one guy who both her and her sister were dancing with. And she went out to get something, and then she came back, and she happens to see them, doing one specific dance move where, the guy grabs her heels by this, and she's upside down, and that got her into a fit of rage, and thus she murdered them. And, of course, this was right before she went to perform, and, that being the start of this movie. It's crazy. And so after, and with that done, and still to speed things up, because, yeah, there is someone that could possibly, not only get Velma out, because Velma is the one prisoner that this one guy in Chicago is really wanting to help bail out, and Roxy, she overhears this, even when Mama mentioned to Roxy about this one guy, big-time guy in Chicago, the best, lawyer in Chicago. Yeah, Chicago's slickest lawyer, as it says in the description / the story, Bill Flynn, being played by the one and only Richard Gere, if I'm saying his last name right. I might be wrong, but, and me sometimes, okay? Bear with me still. So enter Bill Flynn, and of course we get another song number about him, and what, Roxy is visualizing about him, and Roxy trying to speak with him when he arrives, and, for him, if she has, $5,000, then possibly, yeah, because helping her bail out, and she doesn't have $5,000. And it doesn't take too long to see that Bill Flynn was having a meeting and talk with Roxy's husband, Amos. And, you know, once again, bringing up the whole thing of having $5,000, and it doesn't take too long for Bill Flynn to also be interested in to help bail out Roxy, not just Velma, but Roxy. And slowly but surely, as this film proceeds on, and aside from the musical numbers, the attention and with whom to be bailed out of the jail turns to Roxy, and it kind of dies down on Velma. Now Roxy is becoming the big name, you know, girl prisoner, I guess you could say, of Chicago. Also, with the reporters, because at times, like, them being questioned, and basically another thing is that Bill Flynn is basically playing the part of the puppet master, and, you know, Roxy is basically his puppet, you know, and basically Bill is encouraging and telling Roxy to say what he wants her to say, and, you know, and basically, like, doing this as an act, you know, and so they can, like, I guess, fool the press and such, and even, like, he gives good facts to Roxy, because, you know, what people read on the newspapers and such, and what they want to read, and so on. And one of the reporters, one of the main reporters that we see a lot in this movie, Mary Sunshine, and Mary Sunshine being played by Christine Baranski. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got her last name right. I mean, good old Christina Baranski. My God, has she done so much, and it's like she hasn't aged. You know, I think I recall my mom saying that to me one time. I think, like, I mean, as of now, I guess, like, take, for example, she still, it's like, probably, you know, she still looks the same as she did in the 90s, so, and, well, I mean, for this coming out in 2002, I'm just saying, like, I'm sure you get my point, and, of course, I will remember Christina Baranski best for, say, well, Leonard Hofstadter's mother, and also, her role in, one of my favorite movies, The Birdcage, yeah, and this also popped in my head, like, you know, why not mention this as well, because she was good in it too. The Addams Family Values. Yeah, she was good in that as well. And the chemistry between her and Peter, what's his last name? You know who I'm talking about. Yeah, they were so good. But anyway, so Mary Sunshine being one of the main reporters that we see at times in this movie, and, you know, whenever there's any, like, reporters and press happening, yeah. And also, yeah, and still, to speed things up, because, like, at one point, because her too, I forgot just a few times that she was in this too, and she really doesn't have a huge part in this. She's just there for, like, a couple of scenes, and that's it. Like, you know, what happened with her and how she got into jail, that's it. And I was kind of thinking for a moment that, well, I mean, if we're going to see more of her in this, because, you know, Lucy Liu, she's in Chicago, and she plays Kitty Baxter. And, well, because she, too, Kitty Baxter, also murdered her husband, because we do see, because Kitty Baxter walking in, I think, into, like, a hotel room or something, and she can see her husband, well, with two girls in bed, and, well, of course, you know, she shoots him, and also shoots the two girls. All three are dead. And, of course, that's what got her to jail. So, wow. So, yeah, with that, because, then there's one moment where, this one lady who can't speak English, her name, I'll do a text, yeah, because, she, basically, like, she can't speak English, and, you know, Roxy can hear the commotion of this other female prisoner, and basically she's told by Velma, you know, because she's wondering what's going on, and Velma giving Roxy the details / information on what's going on with this one lady prisoner, and, if no, if everything doesn't go as proceeded and such, appeal, that, yeah, with the word appeal, if nothing happens, with her appeal and such, well, she'll be, and that's what happens, sadly. And this time, like, no, like, singing. It's just basically her, and obviously what Roxy is visioning, like, her being this one lady prisoner who's about to be hung. Yeah, that's right, hung. Well, we see, and, like, with, like, a vision of it, like, from Roxy, like, her a ballerina, and she was, like, gonna make a jump from a rope and such. Like, oh my gosh. And, of course, yeah, of course she does get hung, and with that vision that Roxy had, because her's a ballerina, we don't see her land on the stage, but, well, the audience are applauding, but, yeah, I get it. Like, oh my gosh, that's dark. Yeah, okay, but still, to speed things up, because, yeah, at times, like, things are not looking good for Roxy. Well, and especially for Velma, because Velma just growing jealous and upset because her losing the fame and attention, and it's all going to Roxy. Even when Roxy wanted advice from Velma, because, Roxy, all she had been wanting throughout this film was to just be up on stage and do exactly like what Velma has done. Some bad advice that Velma gives at first, and now Roxy returning it back to her when, I guess like Velma, she had to get advice from Roxy and such, and oh my gosh, that's so good. Well, had it coming. Get it? Because, and also Velma, she does want to, there's one moment where, and with another song number, where she wants to collaborate and be like, performing partner, business partner, I guess you could say, best way to put it, with Roxy, excuse me. And, well, of course, Roxy, she's not having it at first, and understandable. I mean, talk about, because how Velma treated her at the beginning, and now Roxy returning it back to her. See? That's pretty good. And even like a heated moment between Roxy and Bill, because when things are not looking good, and again, like I said, he's giving her facts and such on the press and what people read on the papers. Yeah. And also time out, because, I want to mention some of the other cast members. Cheetah Rivera plays Nikki. Susan Meisner, yeah, she plays Liz. Denise Faye plays Annie. Dietrich Goodwin, hey, Goodwin, just like me. She plays June. Honak, if I'm saying that right, being played by Eksterina Chisikanova, I might have gotten the whole name, mispronounced it, And Maya, she plays Mona, sorry. Also, some of the other, like, top cast, like, and they do have technically big roles, but they're not really in it that much. I mean, mostly they're just in, like, the visions that Roxy has, whenever there's a song number. Ty Diggs, he plays the band leader, and Cliff Saunders, he plays the stage manager. Okay. At one point, yeah, I can't forget to mention this, of course, because at one point, because, like, the press being there, and, like, Roxy is at one point, like, losing the attention, I guess, and then at one point she passes out. She collapses on the floor. Well, that's because, supposedly, she's pregnant, apparently, and Roxy now knows and, gets exactly what Bill had told her, to play along and with the act and such. She gets it now. Yeah, good on you, Roxy. And I will be honest, because of what I'm about to say, I didn't think of it at first. Until when it came to the part where, yeah, it turned out to be not true that she was pregnant. I thought she was. I actually thought she was at first. I guess I didn't really realize that, well, this was all part of an act and such. And when Roxy was starting to get the hang of it and to actually do it, So, and poor Amos, because because he thinks that, well, he's the father to this child. I mean, well, why wouldn't he? Because, well, her, her being his husband, her being his wife, I should say, yeah. Yeah, just, and Amos, he gets a song number 2. And this is when, having a conversation with Bill and such. And also more characters that I didn't mention, because Mrs. Boruis, I don't even know if I'm saying the last name right, because the next door neighbor, basically, of Roxy and Amos, in the apartment building, being played by Jane Eastwood. There's also the police photographer, being played by Bruce Baton, yeah, and Sergeant Fogarty, being played by Roman Podhora, you know me sometimes. And there's also Harrison, being played by Colm Farrow. I might have gotten that right. But, and it seems like a little bit later on, because, well, things are looking good for Roxy, it seems like, and, well, when the court is in order, the court is in session, and, whether or not if Roxy is innocent or guilty. And, well, of course, Bill doing his very best to, prove Roxy's innocence, and again, because, them just, playing along and acting and such, and to fool them, seems to be working pretty good, and with more song numbers, and even when, well, because Bill, right before they went out into court, and even when the court is happening, because another song number that we get, which I am familiar with this one song, I might have heard maybe 1 or 2 others before seeing Chicago, this movie, and knowing that Chicago had those songs. One of them being Give Them the Old Razzle Dazzle. Yeah, that's a pretty good song, and I've heard that. More on that later. So with that song number, right as they're about to go out in court, and during court and such, and yeah, because that's what Roxy does, and the same goes for Bill. Give them the old razzle dazzle. There you go. So, even when at one point she does pass out again, of course, playing along and acting and such. And even back at the jail, because Mama and Velma overhearing this, listening to this on the radio, I should say. And Velma is still upset about this, of Roxy getting all the attention and, Roxy being on the front paper, which, to Velma, it should be her still, but sorry, Velma, because now the attention has been turned to Roxy. For now, yeah. And then Velma comes into the court and is a witness. In fact, because, yeah, other witnesses that were attended, like Amos being one of them, of course, and not to mention, because, well, Amos had already, filed for a divorce on Roxy without her knowing, I think about a month ago. Yeah, a month ago when he did this. Okay, still, to speed things up. Velma coming in, and she's a witness too, and apparently because, well, Roxy having a diary, and Velma got her hands on Roxy's diary, and Roxy basically telling them that Velma basically made all that up, that supposedly Roxy might have said and had written in supposedly her diary, and it seems like the Roxy and Bill, they are about to lose, but, and another, visionary, visual, dance musical number, with Bill, where he's tap dancing, and Bill is just doing, pardon my French, he's doing his damnest still to, to help Roxy to be proved not guilty / innocent, all that, and it seems like, towards the end, he managed to succeed, seemed like it, and then the final decision, if, the jury and such, if Roxy is either guilty or not guilty. And right as one man was about to say it, well, we already see the newspapers, we first see guilty on the newspaper with Roxy's face. And then it doesn't take too long for just 1 second to see another piece of newspaper innocent, it does get you at first, oh no, she's guilty and already the newspapers are getting out there. No, those newspapers, they're just I guess like the newsmen, the newsboys, I should say, they are standing by on which batch of newspapers to, sell and toss out, extra. And when we finally find out, like, if she's either guilty or not guilty, well, which newspapers are thrown and such? The ones that say innocent. So now, yeah, it's official now. Roxy is now innocent, and she's not guilty. And now, because with the newspapers being thrown out, extra, Roxy Hart, innocent, blah, blah, blah. And as those newspapers are being sold out to the folks of Chicago, it doesn't take too long to hear gun shooting, gun firing. Because now another woman has shot a husband of hers. Now the attention is turned to that woman, and no longer is the attention being focused on Roxy. Now there's a new supposed killer lady, I guess you could say, of Chicago, and is going to be sent to jail. God, poor Roxy. And Roxy, again, just all she had been wanting was to get up on stage and perform just like Velma. And even, hopefully, with her being proved innocent and such, that could really help her and really push her and, boost her chances to get there. But, yes, sadly, all the attention on Roxy is gone and now turned to this new woman/wife that killed a husband of her. And for Bill, because, well, Bill, he did his duty, that's all. And, telling Roxy that, she should be thankful that she's now a free lady, and, yeah, that's it. And, yeah, because, again, Bill, he did his part, and that's what he had always been doing, just that. And poor Amos, because him hoping still, because, supposedly if, she is having a baby or not, but, she tells poor Amos that no, it wasn't real at all. She was never pregnant. And of course, if that doesn't break Amos's heart enough, and well, Amos, he just walks off. This is probably the last time he ever sees her. Yeah, he's had it. He's done with her, and rightfully so. And, well, for poor Roxy, because what is she gonna do now? I mean, yeah, she's a free woman now, but what is she going to do in trying to, proceed on with what she wants to do? Her dreams and passions, to become an on-stage performer just like Velma, who she at first idolized. And, well, again, because, her being not guilty and all charges and the cases close on her, accused of murdering Fred Casserly. Yeah, all that being done. Well, because we do see her at one point trying to audition, and yeah, of course it doesn't go too well, and obviously they are well aware, those who are, wondering if, and judging and such, if she'll move on and such, well, they're obviously aware of what she had done, and, they just get out of there, and when, even when they tell her that they'll call her, of course they're not going to, even, obviously, she realizes that. And because that didn't go so well, enter Velma Kelly, because she once again shows up, and she did overwatch her auditioning, and she was impressed. And once again, Velma proposes and, asks Roxy if, she would consider joining along with her, being a collaborative performer, them collaborating, being performers together. And still, Roxy, she's not sure about this, and, well, she does decline yet again, and the more convincing that Velma does, to Roxy, well, sure enough, they do eventually become a collaborative performers, performing collaborators, you get my point, yeah. And we see them make it to the big top at, at a Chicago theater. And, yep, because, how they're introduced and, well, they, perform and sing the last number of this movie. Yeah, pretty good. And those couple of clips where they're, dancing and such, I've seen those before, yeah. So, yeah, and those being really the only bits and pieces I've seen from there, and, along with a little bits and pieces of one of the song numbers, which being They Had It Coming. That being the only bits and pieces of clips and such that I've seen from this movie until now that I finally have seen the full movie, Chicago. And the way it ends, like, you know, kind of ends on a happy ending, but still, just with what these two ladies, what they did, and still, for them to be, you know, innocent and to be free and to be performers, well, hey, that's Chicago for you. Everything in this movie, well established on Chicago, pretty much. And it's nice how when the credits roll, because, you know, get, you know, shots from the movie of all of the actors and with their names popping up. I've seen that kind of thing before. Like, I can think of, say, Airplane, the comedy film Airplane did something like that. If you know what I'm talking about, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm just, again, what a heck of a way to end off Chicago, where Roxy and Velma, where they're at now, and now they're, you know, collaborating and being a duo performers, you know. Okay, now let's come to the songs of Chicago. Yeah, I gotta say, the songs for, you know, Chicago, I think they were pretty good. I think maybe I probably have, like 3 or 4 favorites of Chicago, and most of them, they're quite catchy. So, yeah, the first one, the overture, and, you know, and all that jazz, that was a pretty good one, and because, you know, because with Velma just being the only one there performing, and how, with what's going on and where we get the introduction of Roxy, her and Fred, you know, as they proceed on back to where she lives in an apartment building, and when policemen show up and they're about to arrest Velma right as she's about to finish off, you know, her singing and all that jazz. Yeah, pretty good. There's also Raising the Roof. Yeah, that was pretty good. It was just music and such. Yeah, so also Funny Honey being performed by Renee Zellweger as, you know, her playing Roxy. And because, well, this is where, you know, Amos talking about what supposedly might have happened, but until he connected the dots, and how, you know, it's amazing, like, how that song, like, it starts off with her just complimenting and saying, you know, sweet things about her husband, but until he figures out and connects the dots, that's when it takes a turn and saying bad things about him. Oh my gosh, that's pretty good. And there's also When You're Good to Mama, which of course being on Mama, and how, well, because Roxy is visualizing and with her singing, yeah, Queen Latifah singing it. And Queen Latifah, she can be a pretty good singer. And everybody who sang each song number in Chicago, they were pretty good, you know, from Renee Zellweger, and from, let me see, because, yeah, Richard Gere and John C. Reilly, yeah. So, yeah, When You're a Good Mama was a pretty good one. Cell Block Tango. And that's the actual name of the song number. It's not, They Had It Coming. No, it's not that. And, you know, this song being performed by Catherine Zeta-Jones, Susan Meisner, Denise Faye, Dietrich Goodwin, yeah, and Electra, you know, her, so... Yeah, so them being the 6 ladies, like, and how they ended up in jail. So yeah, them. And I named their characters, so, you know. And All I Care About Is Love. And this was the introduction of Billy, yeah, Richard Gere's character. You know, what she's visualizing, thinking of, like, what he could be like. And, well, there's also Chicago, no singing in this. There's also We Both Reached for the Gun. Yeah, that was a pretty good one. Richard Gere, Renee Zellweger, Christina Baranski, yeah, a good chunk of a couple people singing it. Pretty good. And there was also Roxy having her own song number, being called Roxy. That was pretty good. Me and My Baby. Yeah, that was... pretty good too. And I Can't Do It Alone. Yeah, because where Velma, her at first, and in the jail, trying to convince Roxy to join alongside with her, them being a duo performance duo, best way to put it, yeah. And of course, you know, Roxy turning her down. And there's also Mr. Cellophane, Thane, if I'm saying that right, being performed by John C. Reilly, because this was right after, because supposedly Amos thinks that he could be the father of supposedly Roxy's, yet to be born child, because of her being, this being announced that she's supposedly pregnant, which, yeah, later on, it turned out to be not true, and when poor Amos found out. So, nice to see that, yeah, Amos, and for John C. Reilly, getting a song number of his. I think I might have heard this song number before, I want to say. Wasn't it on The Muppet Show? Did Ben Vereen perform it? Because it just reminds me of that. Like, you have those moments, like, maybe or maybe not. I'll have to go back and look. But, yeah. But overall, that was a pretty good song number. And this one, and speaking of The Muppet Show is where I first heard this one song number, and possibly Mr. Cellophane. Yeah, probably that one too. Razzle Dazzle, yeah. So, yeah, Razzle Dazzle. The first time I heard this song is when, on The Muppet Show, in Season 1, with special guest star Joel Grey, yeah, he sang that song. To be honest, like, no offense and no hard feelings on Chicago's take/version, what they did for the song Razzle Dazzle. It's pretty good. And George Gere, him being a good singer in this, he did pretty good singing this as well. I really have enjoyed the version of Razzle Dazzle that Joel Grey sings in The Muppet Show. That's just me. I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying. So, everybody has their favorite, songs on whom sang it, their take/version on that song, if you get what I'm saying, So in this case for me, I liked Joel Grey's version, of him singing Razzle Dazzle on The Muppet Show. So there you go. Okay, and also Nowadays, being performed by Renee Zellweger, another good one too. And one thing about Renee Zellweger, which I'll mention after I, read and talk about the rest of the songs, Tap Dance, which was performed by Perry Kaveri, yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah, I'm saying that right. Pretty good too. Also, another rendition of Nowadays/Hot Honey Rag, being performed by both Catherine Zeta-Jones and Renee Zellweger. The finale song number of Chicago, that was pretty good. And, a couple of other song numbers during the credits, I Move On, Exit Music, Class, After Midnight, and, all that. Yeah, because, those song numbers and bits and pieces of music during the credits, they were good too. Yeah, the entire, list of songs for Chicago were some interesting, but also, at the same time, some pretty good ones. And, some of my favorites, probably, because it'd have to be, the Tango one. What was it? Yeah, the Cell Block Tango being one of my favorites. I think also, yeah, And All That Jazz was a pretty good one, too. Even Amos's song number, Cellophane, yeah, that was a good one too. And Razzle Dazzle, in Chicago, pretty good too, yeah, that was pretty good too. In the finale, song number, another rendition of Nowadays and Hot Honey Rag, good too, the song numbers for the finales of any musical movie seem to be pretty good. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure because, yeah, I obviously, because, aside from the Oscars, Chicago winning a lot of other awards, but for the Oscars, because, got a lot of nominations, but only, six, yeah, I think, yeah, six won, and which one of them being, Best Picture, Catherine Zeta-Jones won for Best Supporting Actress, like I said. It won for Best Art Direction. It won for Best Costume. I mean, the costumes in Chicago were pretty good, too. And for Best Sound, the sound was good, too. And the film editing, fantastic, too. Yeah, just overall, Chicago, what a fantastic and an interesting piece of a musical film this is. Everything about it is just mind-blowing, and with all that I've had to say and my review on Chicago, I didn't know what to expect with this movie. It's just crazy. And again, like I said, I'm sure that goes for everybody else who saw Chicago. And this being a pretty good, musical movie adaptation. Yeah, the story was pretty good. The songs, the characters, where this movie was going, and just some unbelievable moments and stuff that you did not see coming. Just, whoa, just like I tell ya, Chicago, it's just a very interesting musical film. And again, for this being the last musical film for me to review for Musical Movie Week. And I'm giving Chicago, well, what the heck, 10 out of 10 stars. Yes, 10 out of 10 stars for Chicago. And what about you guys? What did you think of Chicago itself? Is it in your top favorite, and is it one of your top favorite, best musical films? And did you see the actual show on stage / Broadway, and which are some of your favorite songs? Were you mind blown by this too? Because I really think this is unlike any musical film that's out there and that I've seen, and I'm sure that goes for everybody else. And with the casting, the story, some funny and emotional moments here and there, of course, just, moments where you're just like, oh my gosh, whoa, yeah. And with what I've had to say, and what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And so, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Chicago. More review videos are on the way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video / review. And with that, Musical Movie Week has now come to a close. Yeah, I gotta say, it's been fun, but also interesting with these batch of musical films that I've reviewed, and to end it off with Chicago, like I said. And hey, I can't wait to do it again. Another Musical Movie Week, down the road. Yeah. So again, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and until there's another Musical Movie Week, peace out.